Alright guys, and welcome to another video. Today we are going to be discussing whether it is too late or not to start playing classic World of Warcraft. So the main concern that people have is, well, other people have been playing the game for 6 months, they're going to have loads of gear, and it's going to take me ages and ages to catch up, so I'm going to be at a massive disadvantage. Short answer to that question is, it won't. It won't take you long to get geared, and you're not going to be at a massive disadvantage, and you're not going to be in any way, shape or form getting a less superiorly fun experience than people who do have gear. But anyway, just before we jump in guys, please do give me a quick follow on Twitch if you want to catch any of my live streams, and let's get into the meat and potatoes. So the first reason why it's not going to be difficult for you to get gear is because guilds are always recruiting. The reason why guilds are always recruiting is because filling a 40-man raid roster is actually pretty difficult. Okay, my raid only normally runs with 32 to 37 people. Recently, a guild has disbanded on our server. A number of guilds are kind of more or less disbanding from time to time because they can't fill their raid rosters, and their population dwindles, and their population essentially gets dispersed into other guilds. And that's basically what's happened to our guild recently. So there's always spots for people to get into a guild, so it's not going to be difficult for you to get into guild. Like, you log in and you join world chat on any server, and there's, you only have to wait a few seconds before you see a guild recruiting for people for endgame content for raiding. So getting into a guild isn't difficult. So yeah, getting into the raids is going to be pretty easy. And the second reason I'm going to cover is, obviously most people who have been playing the game for a number of time, they're already geared. They don't need the gear. So say for instance tomorrow you leveled a character to 60, it took you about a month, you joined a guild. Lots of people are probably going to have lots of gear, and they are simply not going to want any more gear. And they're probably only doing like the raids for one, to contribute to the raid and to filling a few pieces here and there. But you're going to get geared very quickly because a lot of the gear drops and it's simply not needed and just gets disenchanted. And in a way, you are in a better position to get geared faster now that Blackwing Lair is released, because you got Elixir and Molten Core and Blackwing Lair to get gear from. And you may be thinking, well, I won't be able to get into a Blackwing Lair group because I won't have any good Molten Core gear. Honestly, if you have pre-raid best in slot gear, a raid member isn't going to turn you down from joining a Blackwing Lair group, because again, they probably will not be able to fill the spots, and it's better to bring you than to bring nobody at all, because it's very rare if you actually see guilds with 40 members actually raiding. Like I said, my guild only has about 32 to 37 people in our raid group consistently. Another good point to mention is there's a number of better pre-raid best in slot gear that you can obtain from Battleground Rewards. So, from Warsong Gulch and Alteric Valley, well, mainly Warsong Gulch, to be honest. There's a number of really good rewards that you can get, even weapons that you can get, which are really useful. There's profession rewards now that Phase 3 is released, Timbermore reputation and Foreign Brotherhood reputation kind of gear pieces, which you can very easily obtain if you want to do the things yourself or get someone else to do it for you. It's fairly straightforward. And yeah, basically it's very easy to get pre-raid best in slot gear, because another concern that people may have is it's going to be difficult to get dungeon groups, but the thing is, it's going to be less of an issue because there's much more craftable gear, which is, going to make you powerful enough to get into a raid. At the end of the day, people can do Molten Core and green gear, so it's not that much to worry about. Another thing to mention is ZulGrub is probably going to be released in the next 2 to 4 months, which means you're going to have another raid to get, to catch up on. And ZulGrub is obviously a 20-man raid, which means it's easier to get gear. And again, a lot of people running ZulGrub will probably already be decked out in tier 2 gear and won't need the gear from ZulGrub, because a lot of people, even though they're decked out in gear, they will still do ZulGrub to found a reputation in order to get certain enchants which are best in slot until like Naxxramas. So you're basically going to be very easily get boosted in ZulGrub. A lot of people will pug ZulGrub, your guild will probably do ZulGrub a few times, and then I'm pretty sure you can do ZulGrub twice a week, and you can also do Elixir twice a week. So it's very easy for you to get geared up in Classic WoW, in all honesty, especially when ZulGrub is released. You can have 4 raids. You're basically going to be able to do 6 raids a week. Okay, 6 raids a week. Compare that to retail, where you can only do like 3 difficulties a week, and probably only more or less like 2 raid difficulties a week. So a lot of ways to, get a lot of gear in Classic WoW. And even if you're watching this video later on, like in Phase 4 or Phase 5, just before AQ40 is going to come out, and you're still worried that it's going to take too long, again, you shouldn't be worrying about that, because just before a new raid tier comes out, guilds are heavily recruiting. So again, it's going to be very easy for you to get into a group, and then you'll have even more raids to gear up in, because a guild isn't going to decline you from joining AQ40 and AQ20. Then at that point you will have, because you can do AQ20 twice a week, you'll have 9 raids to do in order for you to get geared up. And again, then if you're in pre-raid best in slot gear with a few pieces of molten core here and there, you're easily going to get into an AQ40 group, because again, guilds are always kind of struggling to fill up the raid roster, which means taking somebody who's less geared is better than taking nobody at all, because of that increase of DPS or that increased healing that they can benefit for the raid. So like, even if you just get to level 760, it won't take you long before you can basically start clearing the best, the hardest raid content. So you really shouldn't be worried that it's going to I'm going to have to go through every single raid to, like, a lot of people seem to think this, that you have to go through every single raid in order to get gear. You will obviously have to do those raids, but you won't have to chronologically go through every single raid in order for you to get to like AQ 40. Fair enough with Naxxramas, possibly, and with AQ 40 you will need at least a little bit of, tier 2 pieces and tier 1 pieces, fair enough. And then Naxxramas, yeah, you will have to be decked out in tier 2 gear. But end of the day, like, you're not going to be declined from getting into raids. It's going to be really easy for you to get into guilds, so I definitely wouldn't worry about falling behind if you're, starting late in Classic WoW. Just get on with it, because it's a fun game. And especially the leveling experience, which I'm going to talk about now. The leveling is going to be a much less stressful experience than it was during the launch of Classic WoW. It's going to be easier to quest. You'd be ganked a lot less, even on a PvP server. There's going to be more chest spawns, which means an increased chance of you getting rare loot, which would be really useful. And there's also more nodes, mining nodes, herbalism nodes, so it's going to be easier for you to level up your professions and make a little bit of money.